Hey folks, this is Lee from the Upper Darby Township Library. I'm here today for our second monthly Teen Craft Center. Today we're going to be making two different kinds of really cool bracelets. We're going to do a beaded one and a braided one, so two totally different techniques. We do have craft kits available, so if anybody did pick one up, then break it out now. The only other two things you'll need in addition to that kit are a pair of scissors and some tape. So go ahead and get your supplies if you've got them. If not, this video will be available later on as well as the craft kits. So follow along. I'm gonna make some fairly easy crafts look really hard because that's what I do. If you are here for someone to make crafts look easy and painless, I am not your guy for that. If you are looking for someone to make simple crafts look really difficult and cry along with you as we try to figure it out together, yes, that's what I'm good at. So let's get right to it. So like I said, the two kinds of bracelets we're gonna make are beaded and braided. I'm gonna start with the braided because it is a little simpler. So we'll do that first. So what I've got for that are two contrasting pieces of cord. So this is like I think it's like a couple of millimeters thick, and it's just like a little, like, not quite shoelace material, but kind of similar. You could probably do it with shoelaces if you wanted to. So I'm gonna, and these are, I'm trying to remember how long they are. I think about a yard each. Yeah, I think about 3 feet each. So I am going to have, so one of these is going to be like the frame and the other one is going to be the part that's wound around it. So sort of pick your colors accordingly. I like dark colors, so I'm going to have my white cord be the frame. So what I'm going to do for that is just kind of fold it in half. And then I'm going to take my other piece, which is my like navy blue. You could use whatever color you like. And I'm going to tie a knot around the top of this, and I'm gonna leave a little bit of a loop. You don't want too big of a loop because basically this is gonna help, like this is gonna be one half of what closes your bracelet around your wrist. The other half is gonna be a knot. So think about like if you were to tie a knot with these 3 cords, how big would that be, right? And that's about the size of the loop that you want. So I want my loop to be like about the size of my pinky for me. So I'm gonna tie off about that much at the top here. And it's just like a simple, like, little tie it around there, hold it in place. And because all of this is like braided and knotted, it's super easy to adjust it if you mess something up. That's the cool thing about this, is that it's super easy to fix it if you mess it up. So I'm just did that little number right there. That's all you need to start with, right? Okay, and this is where the tape comes in. Super hard, right? I'm just gonna tape it to the table to hold it in place. So I'm just gonna get a little piece of masking tape and I'm gonna tape it down to the table. And then I'm gonna move my camera so you can see what I'm doing because everything else is gonna happen right here in front of me. Here we go. Awesome. Can you see it? Where's the top of it? There it is. All right, so there we go. You can kind of see me and you can see, there we go. All right, so here's what you do. Even if you've never braided before, which I've braided before, but it's been some years, let's just say. Even if you've never braided before, this is like fairly easy to pick up. So what you're gonna do, and if you have braided before, this is actually a little bit different. You're not gonna move all 3 pieces. You're actually gonna hold the 2 frame pieces totally still. They're not gonna go anywhere. In fact, you're gonna have to be really careful to make sure they don't go anywhere. Because if you do, it's gonna get all twisted and knotted up and not gonna look as pretty. So keep them really still. And what you're doing is you're gonna wind this guy over and under and over and under. So here's how we're gonna start. We've got it over here, and I'm just gonna go like over actually I'm going to go under this because that's where the knot ended up. So I'm just going to go like under the left hand side and over the right hand side and pull it through, right? And then I'm going to go under the under the right hand side and over the left hand side. You see how that sort of looks? And then this is also super important. You just want to tighten it up every time. You want to tighten it up because otherwise it'll end up with a lot of bumps and it will not look as good. So I'm going to go again under the left. Oh, see, I'm trying to get twisted. Under the left, over the right, and pull. Under and over and pull. And make sure everything is straight and tighten it up. And get like, so I push it up and then I like pull the cord to get it as tight as I can. And then just like push it back up. Sort of helps to use like your fingernail maybe. Is what I found to be the most useful. And it's not gonna look as cool right at the beginning. It's gonna take a few minutes to sort of get going, but just trust me, it'll get there. So over and under, under, then over and pull and tighten it up. And you might imagine that this is going to take some time, and I'm not going to do the whole thing. I'm going to do enough under and over and pull, under and over and pull. I'm going to do enough so that you get an idea and I can get it long enough that it can loop back on itself, and then I can show you the other end of the closure. So under and over and pull, and you can sort of see some mistakes that might be made, like under and over and pull. So like if it gets knotted up, then it's sort of like really difficult to tell what's happening. So you just want to be really careful that you're holding both of your frame pieces of the cord as still as you can, and remembering to tighten it every time, because in practicing, those were the mistakes that I made, and that is what I learned. So under and over, under and over. And you really, I'll show you what happens if you don't tighten it up every time. And it's not a huge deal. Like, again, the cool thing about this design and the way that it's made is that you can go back and fix it later, which is cool. But I'll show you, like, I'll like pretend to get cocky and just like do several rounds, and then show you how it like doesn't look as good when you go back. So like I've done like twice as much now than I would normally do, and see it just like is hard to get those knots out without a lot more effort. So I'm gonna just like try to pull it as tight as I can. And there we go, and sort of fix it, but it just isn't, it's like the amount, it doesn't save you the effort that you think it's going to save you to like rush ahead instead of tightening it up every time. That's what I learned. So like I said, I'm only going to do this for a few more minutes because I'm still having fun, but you might not be still having fun watching me. So I want to keep this as entertaining as possible. Minus doing any like song and dance tricks, because I am, you know, braiding right now. But like I said, I just want to make like a loop so that you can sort of see what the finished product might look like. And it really, like, I think, you know, one could do this in like half an hour or so. It's just that I'm not going to spend a whole half hour in front of you, because that seems really boring for all of us. And also, I want us to have time to get to the other significantly more challenging bracelets that like really almost made me cry the first time I tried it. So good luck to me today. But so I'm going to do a few more rounds of this, and then I'll close it up so that you can see how that works. But I'm just still doing the same thing, under and over and under and over, and then tightening it up. and just being careful to hold both of my ends or both sides in my hand so that they don't get twisted up. So again, you could do this with whatever colors you want, obviously. Like, it's mostly going to be the one color that is your your like wraparound. So, you know, you can pick that, but I think it looks best to have like contrasting colors so that there's at least like some interest going on. So yeah, I'm just like pulling it tight and keeping it straight so that it's like, you know, looks nice. Keeping it taped down pretty good. Again, this is like, this is my third time doing this, so it feels a lot easier this time than the first time. The first time I was just like, what is even supposed to be happening here? I think mostly because I like expected it to be, I like started trying to braid like you would braid hair or something, and it doesn't work like that. It just straight up doesn't work like that. And it did not look right, and I could not figure out why. So this time, the third time, it feels a lot easier. So if it is feeling really hard to you right now, just know that if you try it again, it might be easier. All right, so I am almost done with what I'm gonna do, even though this is obviously not gonna go around my wrist. It might go around one of my kids' wrists, and that would be fun. But it's big enough or long enough that I can show you sort of how the closure part works. So I'm just gonna do a couple more. So I am like getting a little like, not sloppy, but like certainly less careful than I was at the beginning, but I am still making sure that I like go back and make sure that both of my frame cord sides are where they need to be, and tightening it up at the end of each sort of round, if you will. All right, so I'm gonna end it there. And then, so I'm gonna pick it up so I can show you. So I've still got this little knot at the end, right? Which is cool. And then, so I've got this, and this was the part that almost broke me the first time. So hopefully I can make it look a little easier to you, because I was just like looking at a picture, and it was really difficult based on just a picture. But, so what I've got here is that this is sort of like, the blue cord is wrapped around, like over and then back into, like in between the two, if you can see that. And so I'm gonna hold that blue cord off to the side in like my pinky and this finger. So I can hold it off to the side. It's still there in the middle because it's sort of important for it to be still like wound up in there. But it's out of the way, right? And then I'm just gonna tie a knot with these white cords. So just look at the picture again. Shockingly difficult for me to visualize this, so I'm gonna try to make it easier for you. So, all right, so I've got these, and I'm just gonna like wrap around behind and through. And it is shockingly easy once I figure out how to do it, but let me tell you, looking at the picture and trying to figure out what was happening with these cords almost broke me the first time. And now it's so easy. It's like, oh, obviously it's so simple, right? Okay, so then you've got this knot, okay? So this is what's gonna help you close it. So then I'm gonna cut off these pieces here. so I don't have too much excess, right? So I'm just giving them enough that they can still like hang on to the knot. And then you literally just stick it through the little hole, and then you have a little bracelet. And this one fits on like my thumb or my fingers, but yours, given like 20 more minutes of work, will be long enough to go around your wrist. So yeah, so that's how it works. It's super simple. And like I said, if you get to this point and you're like, oh, there's a really ugly bump like right there, the cool thing about this is that you can sort of like massage it out, just like pull them a little bit and push them, you know, and sort of like work out that knot and distribute that like extra little bit that you have so that it looks cuter and more uniform. So yeah, but then sometimes your like knot tries to come undone up at the top, which is annoying. But so what you can do is you can like, to make this more permanent and less likely to like come undone when you're done with it, is that you can pop some like hot glue or something like that on it. I'm not going to do that today, but you can definitely do that at home if you have it. But then, see, you just got your little bracelet. So here we are. So that's one down, one significantly more difficult one to go. Here we go. Put that over there so you can admire it. So, all right, so the next one is the beaded one. So, and here are the materials for that. We've got a couple of pieces of like leather cord, and oh, hang on, bear with me. These got real tied up. Okay, so this is your like one piece of leather cord, so that's great. And this again is, I think it's like 4 feet. Yeah, I think it's like 4 feet long. So that's fine. Sorry, I'm just going to scroll back up to the top of my instructions. I practiced this for the past couple of days. So, all right. So you've got this leather cord that you're going to cut in half when we get started. But I'll just go over the materials first. And then you've got several pieces of thread. And the thread is also like a few, probably 3 feet long. And I think I got like 3 of those maybe. So I've got about 9 feet of cord of thread. And this is like beading thread. So it's like thin, but really sturdy, which is cool. So I've got 3 long pieces of that. So cool. All right, and then we've got some beads. I think it's about 125, like 2 or 3 millimeter beads. These are larger. These are like the 3 millimeter beads. You could also do the 2 millimeter beads, which are a little smaller than this. You could do, again, whatever color you want. I chose these bright pink, partially because I think they're cute, and partially because I figured they'd be easy to see. And then you need a needle. And I think this was like a 28 gauge needle. And basically what I needed was one, and again, if you come get the kits from the library, all these things I'm like literally pulling from a kit. But what I needed was a needle that was large enough that I could get this thread through it, but still small enough that it was going to go through this bead, which there's probably literally no way for me to show you. You probably totally can't see how small the hole is, but it's pretty small. So, you know, like that. So that was the trick. And so literally I went to a craft store and I pulled a person, like employee aside, and I was like, can you help me eyeball this? And he did, and he was fantastic. So that's how I did that. And then you want a button. And a fairly small button because it doesn't want to be like, unless you want it to be the statement piece of your bracelet, which do you, you know, but you know, unless you want it to be the statement piece of your bracelet, you want a fairly small button that's not going to overwhelm everything else. So I have this tiny cutie here, and this is going to be like, basically it's going to act like a knot from this one, and it's going to be like the thing that goes in the loop to close your bracelet. So that's the things that, those are the things that we have. So how are we going to get started? We are going to cut our leather cord in half first and foremost to make 2 pieces. So I'm just going to make sure that I am in the middle, and then I'm going to cut it in half. Great. Great. And then it says tie a knot about 4 inches from the end, okay? So, and you want that extra material because you're gonna end up going back and tying your loops. So you wanna have enough space to tie 1, maybe even 2 loops if you want it to be adjustable. So you wanna just tie a knot. And the cool thing about this leather cord is that it's really sturdy, and when you tie a knot, like you can untie it again. That's cool, it's not like thread or yarn where you tie a knot and it's there forever because you'll just unravel your piece of material before that knot ever comes undone. But it like stays pretty well unless you undo it on purpose. So cool. So this is honestly the hardest part right here. Okay, so just get ready because it's gonna be hard. Okay, so threading the needle, that's actually not the hardest part, it's the second hardest part. Do you think I'm joking? Because I am not. So thread your needle. Oh, this might take up the rest of our time today. I hope not. Why is this so hard? Depth perception is why. Okay. All right, I've got it. Almost. All right. Again, I am not here to make crafts look easy. I'm here to cry with you. Okay, so I've got the needle threaded. And now, here's what you have to do. Tie the end of it, the other end, not the needle end. Tie the other end of it in a knot on one side of your cord, like one cord. Not around both of them, but around one of them, okay? But under your knot. So like your little like hairs are coming up here and you tie it under the knot on one side. So and this says like a double knot, which clearly they don't mean like a double knot like you're tying your shoe. Just like once and then another time. And for the life of me, I'm not sure why this was so hard the other day because so far so good. But I literally wanted to cry the other day trying to do this. I have no idea why. I'm so glad that I can be overly dramatic for all of you. Okay, and then what you want to do is basically do like a figure 8, kind of like what we were doing before, really. Over and under and over and under about 6 times, okay? So, and I think what I was trying to do that made this so hard is I was trying to do it with the whole thread. I'm not gonna do that here. I'm just gonna do it with this little teeny tiny top part, right? Not, I mean, not the like other end of the knot, that's still hanging out up, going up that way. But like, I'm not gonna try to snake the whole thread through there because I think that's what made it so hard last time. So I'm just gonna do it with this top part here. So I'm gonna go under and over and around and come back up the other side. So that's 1, and I'm gonna tighten because I learned my lesson that, right? So yeah, this is basically the same thing that we were doing with the other one. They're just calling it a figure 8 instead of calling it braiding. And we're just gonna have to like pull the rest of this thread out when we're done, okay? So that might get tricky, but we'll figure it out, okay? So, and basically this is just like pulling your threads together at the top so that they're like cohesive and like are gonna look neat. And also so I've done that like 3 times, I think. I'm gonna like, oh God, see, this is where I get in trouble. I'm gonna untangle my thread. And the other thing that this accomplishes, I think, is that it like makes it so that there isn't like a weird gap between this really close knot at the top and like where your bead goes, which your bead is like a lot bigger, right? So if you didn't have this sort of medium space here, there would be a weird gap. So we're like giving it some space to have like something medium size, if that makes sense. So I'm going to do this a few more times, 2 or 3 more times. Untangle my thread and do it like 1 or 2 more times. It says do it about 6 times, so that's like about how much you want to do. All right. I think I've done like 4 or 5, so I'll do 2 more. Because I have completely lost count, but that's fine. All right, so I'll do a couple more. All right. And the cool thing, again, about this thread being so sturdy is that it really, for the most part, like stays on the needle pretty well, which is cool. Okay, so that's done. And then tie another knot around the same cord that you did before. So I'm gonna go back up under here and then tie another knot. Okay. So maybe this is the part that almost broke me when I had to like do this with a needle. And again, like, you know, this is hard evidence that this gets easier with repetition, because I was almost crying the first time I did this, and that was only 2 days ago. And now here it is, only my 2nd time, and oh look, that didn't tie a knot at all. Why not? See, I may cry yet, but hopefully not. Yeah, this is definitely the part where I was like, how do I tie a knot? Why is this so hard? Okay, so I think that's gonna tie a knot. Yeah, it's just kind of tricky when there's so much thread. And this is why you have the kits. Nope, that once again did not tie a knot. This is mystifying. This is why these threads are in 3 pieces instead of one long 9-foot thread, because that would be impossible. All right, I think 3rd time's the charm, maybe. I think this is gonna tie a knot. Yes. We have liftoff. Or something. You know what? That's not a knot. That's just a loop around the wrong thread, wrong cord. This may be where we spend the rest of our day. Hopefully not. All right, one more time. Why? Why are none of these knots? I don't understand. Wait, this might be. I'm gonna loop this through here again, and maybe it'll do something this time. I'm like pulling all the flotsam and jetsam up off the table with this thread. This is still just a loop. This is still just a loop. Why? Why is it still just a loop? All right. I promise this is going to get better and more interesting soon. All right, so I think I've got it. Just gonna pull it through here, and we're gonna move on, because really, I don't think this is the most important part. You know, I mean, what do I know? Clearly, I'm no expert, but I think we'll be okay even without tying the most intricate and stable of knots. So basically, fine, we're done with that. Hopefully you had less trouble with that than I did. So then we're going to take our beads, and I like to pull out about 10 beads to work with at a time. So that's 7, 8, 9, 10. And again, this would take way too long for me to make an entire bracelet today, so I'm clearly not going to do that. But I will do enough to show you how it works, and get to the part where I can loop it enough to close it. So let's see. Honestly, it's the hardest part is starting out. Again, I know I keep saying this, but when I got started, I wanted to cry, and then it got easier. So here's how it goes. All right, you're gonna start in the back, find your hole in your bead, put your cord, or your needle, sorry, through it, and the needle is gonna go, okay, all right, okay, all the way behind, and I find it easiest to just hold the bead in the middle there, and then do your needle all the way behind the cords, and then what you're gonna do is come in front and go back through the needle. And it's exponentially more difficult when you're starting out, because there's nothing to hold your bead in place. It's just not very sturdy starting out. So it feels like it's just loose and flopping around and not working, but I promise, just get the first couple of beads on there and it's gonna get better. So again, okay, so now we're in front of the cords, if that makes sense, because we came through with our needle in front. So we're gonna go behind again. So basically you're going behind twice, right? And in front twice, because you're going behind, in front, behind, in front. And so that's behind both cords and in front of both cords. And then you're done with that first needle. And you can breathe a sigh of relief, because that is literally the hardest part. So you get your second needle, which I already put on the table. And then you do the same thing. And it's so much easier because there's something to hang on to, and some a bead already there to give it some structure. And the next one will be even easier. But so again, just hold it in between the cords, put your needle through, going behind both the cords. Oh, and I'm already tangled up a little bit, so make sure you're not tangled. Again, that's why your thread is not 9 feet long. And then go in front. And again, this is one of those things where you definitely want to pull it tight every time, because this cord is really sturdy, which also means that it gets like, if it gets tangled, it wants to stay tangled. It like wants to stay where it is. So just like pull it tight every time so it doesn't get tangled and you don't get like little like thread bubbles. You like definitely want to make sure you're pulling it tight every time. And I also like pull the bead or like push the beads as close to one another as possible so that they're like, so that they're where you want them to be, like ultimately. Okay, so that's 2. And it gets a lot faster, like I said, once you get going because there's something to hang on to. The like other beads help lend structure. It gets so much easier once you get going. And then, yeah. So again, I went behind because I was starting out in front. So behind both the cords, wrap around, go in front of both the cords, wrap around, go behind both the cords. So you're going through your bead 4 times each time, 2 times from each side. And wrap around the front, and then you're ready for your next bead, right? And again, just like pulling it. If you notice that you have any thread left, just like pull it as tight as you can. And again, like it's pretty sturdy thread, so I haven't pulled it like as hard as I could, but I have not broken this thread accidentally. So I think that you can give it a pretty good tug to pull it. So again, behind, and then in front, and then behind, and in front. And that's 4. I actually want to move it up to make sure that it's in there snugly. All right. Behind. And the cool thing is that once your bead is on the thread, at least for the first like pass through, it can kind of be anywhere on the thread. You just like pull the thread all the way through, and then you just have to make sure that you like put it where it's supposed to be before you do the next pass through and sort of pull that tight. Just to like make sure it gets into place. But like if you're like, oh god, my like bead is getting away from me and it's not staying in the cord, who cares? Just, you know, get your cord through it and then fix it. Yeah, behind and then in front. Did that 2 times. And so this is the type of bracelet that is meant to wrap around your wrist a couple of times, like 2 or 3 times. You don't have to do that, certainly, but that's like the design of the thing. And what's recommended, and this will give you a clue as to why I'm not going to be finishing this today on camera, what's recommended is like 12 inches of bracelet to go around your wrist twice, and 18 inches to go around 3 times. Let's see, did I do that twice? Yeah, I did do that twice already. So again, I'm clearly not going to do all of that. But that's what you're aiming for if you want to go around your wrist 2 or 3 times. And again, you be the judge. Like, this is yours that you're making. So, you know, if you want to do that, great. If you want to do more or less, great. You know, I made one with 2mm beads that I meant to bring to show you, but I don't have it. It's downstairs. That I did with 2mm beads with like silver beads, and it wraps around my bracelet, or around my wrist twice, and I thought that looked pretty cool. So that was my experience, and I did find that 12 inches was about right for that. So seems like that recommendation is probably correct. And if your thread tries to come out of your needle, because we didn't tie a knot up at the top, like sometimes you would do that, or you would like, you know, if you were doing like regular sewing, you might like double up your thread and tie a knot at the end of it, but we're not doing that because this is a different kind of thing. So just, you know, your thread might try to come off your needle, and just like try to pay attention to that and put it back before that happens if you can. But if not, then you got to rethread your needle. Good luck to you. So again, just like putting it through, holding the bead in place, behind and around and in front and through. And around, and behind. I really found that having a table or a surface for this was really helpful. I tried to do this on my lap, and I think I lost like 3 beads in the first 2 minutes just because they like fell and were never to be seen again. So I recommend having a surface that is not your lap. Trying to like straighten these out a little bit. I'm going to do a couple more and then see if that's enough to show you, or if I need to do like 10 more real quick. I'm not trying to spend all day doing a boring, tedious thing in front of you, just because that doesn't sound fun for you. Lord have mercy, what just happened there? Okay, let's try again. Oh, this is what I meant when I was like, if your bead tries to run away, just like get it all the way on the thread and then put it where it needs to go. Because clearly this is trying to run away from me. Okay, there we go. All right, pick up my needle, go around. Just stay where I put you, please. All right, here we go. My goodness. All right, back in business. Here we go. So since this is going to be like 1 foot to 1.5 foot long before it's done, obviously this is not going to be enough thread. Like I've already got, I don't know, probably like half the thread that I started with. So you're going to end up having to tie another piece of thread on. And I probably won't get to that point on this video, but so in case I don't, what you want to do, in case you haven't done something like this before, is, and I have no expectation that you do because I had not, what you want to do is leave yourself like 4 inches or so, so that you can, so that you're going to be able to tie a pretty good knot and like have enough room to do that, and you're not like grappling with 1.5 inches of thread that doesn't want to knot itself. So leave yourself several inches of thread, tie a knot, and then you can trim that knot pretty darn close. Like, you can trim the threads around it within like a couple of millimeters. All right, I'm gonna do like 5 more beads because you're probably not having a lot of fun watching me, but I do want to get it to a point where it'll like loop back on itself and I can show you how it closes. But yeah, so then like trim the threads pretty close to the knot. I did, as I was practicing one time, trimmed it too close to the knot, and it did eventually like pull the knot. Fortunately, it was only like 1 bead back, so I was able to go back and fix it. And basically just had to tie another knot and like trim it a little bit farther out. But you can like get to within like a millimeter or 2 of the knot and have plenty of security there. And then just like be careful threading it through, and you know, because the knot will like get hung up a little bit, so you'll just like want to make sure that you're pulling it through. So yeah, just again, just through, and then take your needle behind and around and through the front and around, and pull it tight. See, I've got like a little, you probably can't see it, a little thread bubble there that I have to like pull through. There you go. And then do that another time. Oh, and then my thread's trying to get tangled. All right, there we go. And then through one more time around the front. All right, I'm just going to do a few more of these just so it'll be long enough to make a loop. Again, this is clearly not going to be long enough to go around my wrist even once, but maybe one of my kids will like it, and that'll be fun. Gosh, what is happening here? Oh. No, that's fine, actually. That's right. I thought that it didn't go behind the cord, but it did. It just looked deceptive somehow. There we go. Pull tight. All right, now. There we go. All right. I like missed the hole somehow, and I was just like shooting that needle off into nowhere. Got wrapped up in the cord. What just happened here? What on earth just happened here? I have no idea. Oh gosh. I can't possibly explain what happened. Somehow it came undone. I think, I don't know what to tell you about that. I don't know what to tell you. But I'm just going to do it again. Nope, this is not. I'm just going to take this bead all the way off because I have no clue what's going wrong here, but it is not right, whatever it is. All right, which means I'm just going to unthread my needle. Yeah, I mean, I'm just going to let that bead sit there and think about what it's done because I have no idea what it's done. All right, so let's rethread this bad boy. There we go. Okay. All right, let's try this again. Here we go. All right. So we are where we need to be. Whoa, here. All right. my goal here is really just to make you feel really good about your own crafting skills, because I am sure they're probably better than mine. And I feel fine about that. All right, cool. I think somehow I had like gotten the thread wrapped around the outside of the bead, and I have no idea. I like definitely didn't do that on purpose. No clue what happened, but it's fixed now. Here we go. It was like, oh, I heard you thought you were almost done. JK. All right, 2 more. Front. Oof, my needle almost came off. What did I say I was here for? Making really easy crafts look hard. Yep. Yep, that's my goal. All right. And so like I said, you'll want to have like 12 to 18 inches, but you'll have like 2 feet of each side of your cord. So you'll have plenty of cord. If you want to make it a little bit longer, you can do that. So yeah, really, like, you do whatever feels good to you. All right, last one that I'm going to do. One in front, and behind, and in front. Okay, cool, cool. So yeah, I didn't need to replace or like start with any new thread, but if you're making one that's actually going to fit around your wrist, you probably will. But this will work. We'll make like a little one here. Okay, so cool. So next, blah, blah, blah. When you, yeah. Okay, so when you're done here, when you've got it as long as you want to get it, tie a knot at the end of your beads, right? Tie the 2 cords in a knot, just like you did to start with, okay? And get it as close as you can to your beads, because again, like there's gonna be a gap between your knot and your beads, simply because your beads are, 2 to 3 millimeters wide, so you're gonna have that like in between space where there's a gap, and that's good. We want that. Okay, so tying my knot. So there you go, and pull it tight, and then what you're gonna do is do a knot like you did before. This was the downfall of everything last time, if you recall. But do your best, and I will too. I find that it's not helpful to have the needle on at this point. I might change my mind about that in a minute, but I think that it's not actually helpful to have the needle there. So I'm going to try to tie a knot without the needle, and just like thread it through. Just because I end up like almost stabbing myself in the fingers, or just like the needle is too long to do what I want it to do, whatever. I think it's easier if you don't have the needle. Now, I might be eating my words any second now if I can't make this work, but I think that I don't want the needle on there at this point. You may feel differently, and that's fine. You, as discussed, can do what feels right to you. Okay. So I've got one knot. I'm going to do it one more time with any luck. And again, this is just like, I don't know. I don't know why this feels so hard to me. Why is this the hardest part? Tying a knot. I don't know. I don't know what to tell you about that. But it is. All right. Don't get stuck there. All right. Okay. And then we're going to do the same kind of like figure eight situation that we did before, where you go like over and under, just like we did with the other bracelet. So over and under one side. And I find it easiest at this end because you don't have all the room in the world to work with, to just like pull it tight every single time. So that it doesn't get tangled up like it's trying to right here. Okay. So, and what I might do actually, because I simply have so much extra cord, and I'm not going to need it all, and I know I'm not going to need it all, I'm going to cut it off here. Simply because it's getting me all tangled up. So that has nothing to do with like your process probably, unless you wanted to make yours much shorter than the cord that you had, but that's just getting in my way for demonstration purposes. So, all right, so I went over and under on both sides. I'm gonna do it again. Again, we wanna do this like 6 times. So over and under, and this is like somehow both easier and harder. I think it's easier because it feels more familiar and because there's more structure, so it's like easier to hang on to, but it's also kind of harder because it's a teeny tiny space that you're working in. But so like, I don't know if you can see there, but it's like starting to draw the 2 sides together to make it look a little bit, just like a little bit neater at the ends. Like a little bit more finished. So this is like my 3rd figure 8. So I'll do 3 more. And then I'll show you what I got, and we'll hopefully tie another knot. Maybe if you're better at tying really simple knots than I am, this bracelet has been super easy for you to make. Or maybe some other part has been really hard for you. Tell me about it if you like. All right, so this is, I think, number 4. So I'll do 2 more. Over and under. Almost done here. All right, cool. So, of course, it's going to get tangled up on the very last one. All right, so that's fine. So now you know, we've got this that's like sort of pulled it. Let me see if I can get that against like the white backdrop. Pulled it like a little tighter at the end so that it looks a little bit nicer and neater. And now we're gonna make another knot. Once. And twice. Okay, great. And then, so you can cut the end of your thread. So I have a ton of thread left here, and I'm just going to cut the end of that. Great, done. Put that over here. So now you want your button. And I'll find my cute little button. And you can do this with a button that has like regular holes in it. But I have a button that has like a little loop on the back. Let me see if I can show you. There you go. So what you want to do is, you just put it on one of your pieces of cord, put the cord through the hole. And again, if you're doing this with a button with holes, like if it has 2 holes, just like one in and out. And if it has 4 holes, maybe do like diagonal ones so it looks good. And then you literally just like tie a knot in your cord once, twice, and you're good, okay? And then you can just snip off the ends of this. And again, like leave like 3 or 4 millimeters so it has like something to hang on to like give it some security. But really, like, you're good with that because, like I said, this cord is pretty sturdy. And again, if you want to use, like, there's beading glue, that's a thing that you can get. And if any of this, like, feels like, oh, this knot might come undone, like, you can just, like, dab some beading glue on there. Again, you can just get it from a craft store. It's totally easy. So now I have this that looks like this, right? So then the only thing I have left to do is to tie 1 or 2 loops on this end. So again, just like think about the size of your button, and it needs to be a little bit bigger, but you don't want it to be much bigger because you don't want your button to just fall out, right? So, and then you just like tie a knot over here and just like, you know, wiggle it back and forth until you get it where you need it to be. And again, like I said, this cord is cool because the knot will stay where you put it, but it's like also easy to untie it if you need to, if you're like, oh, that knot didn't land where I wanted it to. Well, let's see if that works. You gotta be able to get your button through there and have it be pretty secure. Yeah, awesome. Okay, cool. So then you've got that. And again, this like sort of fits on like 2 fingers for me, but you know, you can make it much, much longer. And it'll probably take a couple of hours based on your speed. I think I finished one in like 3 hours all told over a couple of days. And it's cool, it like has this sort of like woven-y look around the edges, but hopefully your threads are like pretty compact and there aren't any big bubbles, you know, as long as you like pull it tight as you go. And so if you want to make a second loop, if you want it to be like adjustable, then you just make another loop right past the other one. And this is why you want like several inches of cord, because it gets harder with the less you have. But there you go. So there's my second loop there. There. And then again, you can just trim your thread and give it a few millimeters, or your cord rather, give it a few millimeters, there you go. And I'll show you, you know, hopefully I can get this button out. Yeah, there we go. And then you can just put it in the second loop. And it stretches it a little bit, but not bad. Yeah, and then there you go. And it's a little bit bigger, right? And there you go. Awesome. So thanks so much for watching. Again, these kits will be available at the Sellers branch of the Upper Darby Township Library while supplies last. Please give us a call, swing by and come get one. Well, actually, I'll put them in the lobby today in the foyer area with some links to this video and the tutorials that I was looking at so that you'll be able to follow along. And I hope you enjoy. I hope you make really cool new bracelets. We would love to see pictures of them or swing by the library and show them off. And we'll see you around. Thanks so much. Have a great day.